Over the past few weeks, there's been a fair bit of talk about this, the fast track approvals bill. Without getting into the nitty-gritty of what this legislation is or isn't, its merits or otherwise, I'd just like to look at how difficult it's become to get anything built or done since the Resource Management Act was passed in 1991. For starters, electricity. From 1974 to 1991, the year the RMA was passed, our total electricity generation increased by an average of about 3.5% each year. In the 33-ish years since, New Zealand's electricity generation has increased just over 1% each year. And it's worth noting that the 30 years since the early 1990s have been a period of far higher population growth, but also the period in which there's been a greater incentive or need with climate change and everything else to shift away from fossil fuels. While hydro still accounts for the lion's share of New Zealand's electricity generation, no big hydros really come online since the Clyde Dam filled its ponds in early 1992-93. So since the early 1990s, the bulk of the growth in electricity generation has come from geothermal and to a lesser extent wind. And while that has not come easily, it's fair to say that any future growth will also be hard won. In 2020, the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment commissioned a report which identified access to geothermal resources as the most likely development constraint in the future, with half of New Zealand's resources protected and regulatory and consenting difficulties possibly delaying further projects. The Wind Energy Association has said of New Zealand's planning and consenting process that the time, complexity and difficulty of obtaining consents is a major barrier to the development of wind energy and other renewable projects, and with our current planning system, it's unlikely that New Zealand will be able to meet its required renewable energy targets. If solar's more your thing, it's worth noting that an attempt last year at establishing a large-scale solar generating site in the Mackenzie country was rejected by commissioners on ecological grounds, but the proponents are still battling their way through the court process to see if they can develop the project. If you prefer your energy fossilised, it's worth noting that New Zealand's domestic coal production last year hit a 33-year low, and when it comes to natural gas, projections for the future show that production will be diminishing over the next 5 or 10 years. New Zealand's energy self-sufficiency based on coal and petroleum imports relative to exports is also at a 30-year low. So across the board with energy, whether it is renewables or whether it's fossil fuels, New Zealand's ability to produce energy domestically seems to be increasingly compromised. Is the fast track approvals bill the answer? Will it improve upon the status quo? It seems it would be difficult not to, but I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. Thanks for your time.